Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Babu Rukhsati fi dhalika. The chapter of allowance in that. In other words, in what? In facing the Qibla whilst being in a built-up area. You understand? When one relieving oneself. So Musannif Rahmatullah is showing the permissibility of this, and this is what Jamhur is saying. You understand? And however, Musannif Rahmatullah, he showed istidbar Qibla. He brought hadith to show that you can make istidbar in built-up area. And he made qiyas that if you can make istidbar, then you should be allowed to make istiqbal. All right. The other point mentioned in this chapter here is that ala dhahril baiti, right, on the roof of the house, right? And some riwayat shows baitina, and some say baiti Hafsa. There is no really ikhtilaf there because Hafsa radiallahu anha was his sister. You understand? So he attributed the house to his own house, and he was the only inheritor of his sister. In other words, he was the only brother there to his sister. And when you say this house is for Hafsa radiallahu anha, right? Then that means that she, in reality, the house belonged to Nabi Karim Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. She was just staying there, right? The other point we know from here now is Ibn Umar radiallahu anhu, he went on top there, and why did he go look at Nabi Akram relieving himself? So the answer to this is that he didn't go there intentionally, he went there out of some necessity, and then he saw Nabi Akram sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right. Then the fact that he was sitting on Nabi Akram was sitting on two bricks shows that as an etiquette of istinja is that you sit on a higher place, right? And then there is less chance of you messing, you understand, and making yourself napak. Right. Let's read the hadith now first. أبو رخصة في ذلك chapter allowance in that. قال حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة مالك عن يحيى بن سعيد ومحمد بن يحيى بن حبان عن عمي واسع بن حبان عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنه قال لقد ارتقيت على ظهر البيت فرأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على لبنتين مستقبل بيت المقدس لحاجتي. So Ibn Umar says that I went on the roof of the house, and I saw Nabi Akram upon two bricks facing Baytul Muqaddas for his haja, for his, to relieve himself. وبي قال حدثنا محمد بن بشار قال حدثنا وهب بن جرير قال حدثنا أبي قال سمعت محمد بن إسحاق يحدث نبان بن صالح المجاهدين عن جابر بن عبد الله رضي الله عنه قال نهى نبي الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أن نستقبل القبلة ببول فرأيت قبل أن يقبض بعام يستقبلها. From Jabir ibn Abdullah said that Nabi Akram used to prohibit that we should face the Qibla whilst passing urine, and I saw him before passing away by 1 year, he was facing it. Right. Ahnaf now, what are their answers now? Right. So Ahnaf got many answers here. Right. The first answer here is that umumud da'wah wa khususud dalil. Right. The claim of Jamhur is that you can't make istiqbal and you can't make istidbar. But the hadith you brought only proves you can't make istidbar. You understand it? So your claim is but the hadith you brought only shows one khas situation. The second, answer rather, is tawaqquful istidlali ala taqaddumil man'i. What this means is just that your taking proof will be pending upon upon the proof that this was after the prohibition. In other words, that after the prohibition, then this hadith came to show that it's now allowed. So so you need proof for that, right? The third answer is that tarjihul muharram al mubih, giving preference to something haram over something permissible. There's a clash between haram and halal. You give preference to the haram. Right. The fourth answer is tarjihul qawli al faili. This riwayat here shows what they saw Nabi Karim Sallallahu doing. You understand it? And the other hadiths are all qawli to say, do not face the Qibla and do not face your back to the Qibla. Right. The fifth answer Ahna gives al-farqu bayna ayn al-qiblati wal jihati. We make a distinction between the exact Kaaba and the direction of the Kaaba. So it's possible that he was facing the direction of the Kaaba, but he wasn't facing Ain Kaaba. You understand it? So he was facing the general direction, but he wasn't facing Ain Kaaba. The sixth answer we say, Al-Mu'tabar istiqbalu bil farji duna sadri. We say that it's possible that his chest was facing the Kaaba, but his farj wasn't facing the Kaaba. You understand? And the actual thing when it comes to istinja is your farj. You understand it? It's like in Salah, what's the actual thing? Your sadr. Your sadr must face the Qibla, your chest. And here, when it comes now to the istinja, right, the actual thing is the farj, right? So if the chest is facing Qibla, but the farj is not facing Qibla, then there is no harm. The seventh answer we say, An-nadhrul fujaiyu la yu'taddu bihi. Hazrat Ibn Umar went up there for some other work and suddenly he saw Nabi Karim Sallallahu. And when you see somebody relieving himself, you're not going to be staring. You're going to have, it's going to be one quick glimpse and you turn your face away. So they say that sudden looking, there could be lots of mistakes there. Then they say the last answer is it is also possible that this was permissible for Nabi Karim Sallallahu, because some ulama say that the fudulat, the urine excrete of Nabi Karim is park. You understand? Right. So then the second hadith here now, which shows this hadith is from Jabir ibn Abdullah, which says Nabi Karim prohibited us from facing the Qibla. Then I saw him before 1 year before he passed away facing it, right? So this hadith, our answer is this hadith here. Many ulama have said that this hadith is weak, right? And the reason it is weak is there's a rawi in there, Muhammad ibn Ishaq, la yuhtaju bihi fil ahkam. You understand? So he's a rawi there, which we say is not strong, right? Or rather, is a weak rawi. Right. Babu kayfa takashufi indal hajati. The chapter of how do you open up at the time you want to relieve yourself. How do you reveal yourself at the time you need to relieve yourself, right? So the one usul that comes down, az-zaruriyu tataqaddaru biqadri zarura. What is necessity will only be done according to necessity. So if you need to urinate, you only open up that amount which is needed. You understand it? And therefore the ulama say that unnecessarily to expose your satar even when you're alone is not permissible. Even you alone in house, right? Nobody can see you. To unnecessarily expose your satar is not permissible, right? وبيقول حدثنا زهير بن حرب قال حدثنا وكيع عن الأعمش عن رجل ابن عمر رجل أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان إذا أراد حاجة لا يرفع ثوبه حتى يدنو من الأرض. وأبو داود رواه عبد السلام بن حرب عن الأعمش عن أنس بن مالك وهو ضعيف. Right. Narif ibn Umar from Nabi said that when you intend to relieve himself, you would not remove his clothes until it be close to the earth. Imam Abu Dawud Rahman says Abdul Salam ibn Harb also narrate from Amash, from Anas ibn Malik, and he said this riwayat is weak. Right. Right. So Imam Abu Dawud Rahman, he brought that second hadith there, right? And he's showing the ikhtilaf there. So there's two types of ikhtilaf there. One is that between Waqi and Amash, there's a unknown man. Whereas in the next hadith, between Waqi and Amash, there is nobody. So just take that quickly if you look at it. Hadithna Waqi anil Amash an rajulin, right? And the next one, Abdul Salam anil Amash an Anas ibn Malik. Okay, so yeah, Abdul Salam ibn Harb anil Amash right? And Anas ibn Malik. And so the second one, so rather between uh, in the riwayat of Waqi, between Amash and the Sahabi, is an unknown man, right? And the riwayat of Salam, between Amash and the Sahabi, is nobody. You got that now? Right. The second ikhtilaf here is that Waqi mentions this hadith and the Sahabi is Ibn Umar, and Abdul Salam mentions this hadith and the riwayat and the Sahabi is Anas radiallahu anhu. Right. So therefore, he says the second hadith uh, is weak, and the apparent reason why it is weak is that Amash rahmatullah alayhi did not hear from Anas ibn Malik. You understand it? So there is inqita' in this hadith, and in the hadith before there is a rawi, but is an unknown man, right? So the only answer you can say why he didn't mention that hadith to be a weak is because that unknown man is a strong rawi according to Imam Abu Dawood. And who is that unknown man? Right? In Bayhaqi, the riwayat is Qasim ibn Muhammad. What's his name? Qasim ibn Muhammad. Right. Let's carry on. Babu Karahiyatil Kalami Indal Khalai, the chapter of the being makruh to speak at the time when one is relieving oneself. You understand? When one is relieving oneself, unnecessary to speak is makruh tanzihi. You understand? And if there is extra wrongs with it, then it becomes makruh tahrimi. For example, your aura is also exposed to others. Now you're speaking also to somebody, and your aura is also exposed to him, then it becomes makruh tahrimi. وبقول حدثنا عبيد بن الله بن عمر بن ميسرة قال حدثنا ابن مهدي قال حدثنا إكرمة بن عمار يحيى بن أبي كثير عن هلال بن عياز قال حدثني أبو سعيد قال سمعت رسول الله يقول لا يخرج رجلان يضربان الغيط كاشفين عن عورتهما يتحدثان فإن الله عز وجل يمقت على ذلك. قال أبو داود ولم يسنده إلى إكرمة بن عمار. Right, narrate from Abu Sa'id he said Abu Sa'id narrated to me that Nabi Akram saying that two men don't come out and then they pass a stool revealing their satar and they speaking, because indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes angry upon that. Right, and Imam Abdul Rahman says that this hadith was not made musnad except by Ikramah bin Ammar. Right. So you look at this hadith here now. So this is what the hadith says, right? Allah Ta'ala becomes angry. Then in Ibn Majah, there's an addition to this hadith here, to the matan. يَنْظُرُ أَحَدُهُمَا إِلَىٰ عَوْرَةِ صَاحِبِهِ. So they're not only speaking, but they're also seeing one another's aura also. You understand? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes angry on that. Right. Then Imam Buddha Rahman says, they did a hadith here now. That from Yahya ibn Kasir, besides Ikramah, nobody else has, no other student of Ikramah has made it musnad, right? For example, he says here, Imam Awza'i is also a student of Yahya ibn Kasir, right? And in Bayhaqi, the riwayat is like this here. Anil Awza'i an Yahya ibn Abi Kasirin qala qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In Bayhaqi, it's mentioned like it, right? And what is got here? What is got here? Let's see, where is it now? An Yahya ibn Kasir an Hilal ibn Ayazin qala hadathani Abu Sa'id sami'tu Rasulullah. You understand it? So there is inkita, or rather the hadith is mursal. You understand it? Because because the sahabi has not been mentioned. So here in Bayhaqi, they left out the sahabi and they made it direct to Nabi Karim Sallallahu, from the tabi to Nabi Karim Sallallahu, right? And in this hadith here, Ikramah is the only student who has made this hadith musnad. You got it? He's got the chain of narrators right through, connecting. Right. Babun fi rajuli yaruddu salama wa yabulu. The chapter in regards to a man who replies the salam whilst he is urinating. So in some nuskhas they got ayaruddu salama wa yabulu. Should he reply the salam while urinating? So so somebody now makes salam. Should you reply it or not? From the hadith we understand that you shouldn't reply it, right? And the apparent answer is because at that time your aura is exposed. And when your aura is exposed, then to speak also is makruh, right? So to a great extent, you shouldn't be making salam and zikrullah while your aura is exposed. You understand it? And then if somebody did make a salam, and now you must know when somebody makes salam to you, then to reply to the salam is what? Somebody makes salam to you. Just now, wajib, right? But there are certain times when somebody makes salam to you, then you don't have to reply. One of the times is just, you're in the toilet, I made salam to you, you don't have to reply. Should you reply after you come out of the toilet? It's no more wajib now. Now it's nafil now. You can reply afterwards if you want to when you come out of the toilet. But you don't have to reply that salam. That wujub falls away, right? وبيقول حدثنا عثمان أبو بكر ابن أبي شيبة قال حدثنا عمر بن سعد عن سفيان عن الضحاك بن عثمان عن نافع عن عمر رضي الله عنه قال مر رجل على النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ويقول فسلم عليهم فلم يرد عليه قال أبو داود وروي عن ابن عمر وغيره أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم تيمم ثم رد على رجل السلام. Right. Neither did man pass by Nabi Akram while she was passing you read. Then he made salam upon him, then he did not reply. Mahmud Rahman says, also from Ibn Umar, and from beside, other than Ibn Umar, that Nabi Akram made tayammum, then he replied upon the man the salam. Right. So either you're going to say that this was, because now one hadith is saying he didn't reply the salam. The other hadith is saying made tayammum and then he replied the salam. So either you're going to say these are two separate incidents, or you're going to say it's one incident. So when you say he didn't reply, no, he didn't reply immediately. You understand it? He replied after tayammum. Right. Then what we have here now? Right. So what we understand from this hadith here is what Ahnaf have pulled out from this hadith here is that when an ibadat is going to be lost, right? And there's no substitute for that ibadat, then Ahnaf say it is permissible to make tayammum and do that ibadat. If you have to make wuzu, you're going to miss it. But if you make tayammum, you'll get it. So janazah salah. You don't make wuzu, you're going to miss it. But if you make tayammum, you'll get it. Eid salah. If you make wuzu, you're going to miss it. There's no, remember, there's no substitute here. Janazah salah, you must it, you must it. There's no qaza there. Eid salah, you must it, you must it. There's no qaza there. So if you may, so they, Ahnaf say that now, like, they take from this hadith here that you can make tayammum now because you otherwise you're going to miss it completely. However, in my salas, they say you can't make tayammum. You can't make tayammum. Right. G? They're going to Ahnaf. There is water there, but you're going to use the water and you're going to make your wuzu. You're going to miss the janazah or you're going to miss the Eid salah. Then Ahnaf say, make tayammum quickly and join. You understand it? But the other imam salah, they say you can't do that. Right. وبي قال حدثنا محمد بن سنة قال حدثنا عبد الله قال حدثنا سعيد عن قتادة عن الحسن عن حذين بن منذر أبي ساسان المهاجر بن كنفوز أنه أتى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو يبلغ فسلم عليه فلم يرد عليه حتى توضأ ثم اعترض عليه فقال إني كرهت أن أذكر الله تعالى ذكره إلا على طهر وقال على طهارة. Narrated from Muhajir ibn Kunfuz that he came to Nabi Akram while he was passing, he said, made salam upon him. So Nabi Akram did not reply to Islam until he had made wuzu, then he made an excuse. He told him, I didn't make. And what he said, I dislike that I take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except with wuzu. Right. And to reply to salam, that is also the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wallahu alladhi la ilaha al-malikul qudusus salamu. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't say, take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except with wuzu. Whereas if you see the next chapter, you'll find it. Kana Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha's riwayat, Kana yadhkurullah azza wa jalla ala kulli ahyani. That Nabi Akram should remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all times. So what answer are you going to give now? How are you going to make what's the name now? Now he's saying I just like to take Allah's name, except that I've got wuzu, right? And here he's saying Kana yadhkurullah ala kulli ahyani. So outwardly there seems like a contradiction. So what we say here is that the first hadith is carried upon awlawiyat. In other words, it's better not to, except with wuzu. The second hadith where Aisha is saying that's permissible. It's permissible to take Allah's name without wuzu, right? The second answer they give you, second method of tadbiq they give you is that the first hadith the Aisha hadith refers to zikr qalbi, and here is zikr lisani. So he's continuously remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in his heart, right? Then the third answer, kana yadhkurullah azza wa jalla fi ahyani zikr. Fi ahyani zikr. You should remember Allah ta'ala in all the times when zikr must be made. That's the times he's always remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the other objection that comes here is that when you come out of the toilet, you don't have wuzu, but you are told to read the dua. Allahumma inni a'udhuka min al-khubuthi wal khaba'ith. Now, the answer to this here now, right? You don't have wuzu and you're making the dua. So the answer to this is there are two types of zikr here. One is mutlaqan zikr, mutlaq zikr, general zikr, and one is zikr which is specific to specific times. So those are specific to specific times, you say it, whether you got wuzu or you don't wuzu. And the general zikr, better for you to say it with wuzu. You got that now? But the du'as that you must say at certain times, even you don't have wuzu, you just say it. Because if you're not going to say it, then you must at time. You understand it? And the du'as that are general, the zikrs that are general, it's better to do it with wuzu. 10:05. Okay. Let's just do this a little bit, yeah. Babun fi rajuli yadhkurullah ala ghayri tuhin. The chapter in regards to a man who takes the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without wuzu. وبيقول حدثنا محمد بن العلاء يقول حدثنا ابن ابي زارع نبينا خالد بن مسلمة يعني الفأفاء عن البهي أن أروة عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يذكر الله عز وجل على كل أحيان. It was Aisha Nabi to take the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all times. Right. Babul Khatam yakunu fi zikrullah ta'ala yadkhulu bihi al-khala'. The chapter of the ring. On it is the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Can he enter the toilet with that? Can he enter the toilet with that? So here now from the articles of istinja, that if you are wearing a ring and on it is Ya Rasulullah or the name of Allah, then you should remove it before entering the toilet. Likewise, not only a ring, but any other money which got the name of Allah or paper which got the name of Allah, you put it one side. Now just check if it's closed up, then it's different. You understand? It's completely concealed. All right. Nabi Karim Sallam did not take a ring for adornment. Rather, he took a ring to use as a seal for the letters, because they told him that the non-Muslim kings will not accept the letter unless it's got the seal. So they took a ring that's got for that purpose, right? And it is said, right, and then so initially Nabi Karim Sallam, he had a ring of gold, right? And then Sahaba Ikram also started making rings of gold. Then Nabi Karim discarded the ring of gold, and he then made a ring of silver. And then until the end of his life, he had this ring of silver. And then Khalifa Awal used it, Khalifa Thani, Khalifa Thalith. During the time of Usman radiallahu anhu, he also had the ring of silver, the same ring. And then it got lost. Where? In Bir Aris, in the well of Aris, right? The famous well in Medina. And they looked for it and they couldn't find it. And ulama say that was around the time the fitna started. You got that? Right. Then we have here now. Okay. Leave it till there. Make a mark there. There's still a bit of explanation there for that hadith, so we need to do that. In fact, we didn't start the hadith yet, right? Yeah, so we still do the hadith. Yeah. Was it? Yeah.